with. So I'm gonna say this right here real quick. She was sending me naked pictures of herself. She wanted me to come over to have sex. 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:20 in the morning. You know, never was interested in sex because I was not into those things. Because I didn't want to contract the virus that is going on around the area. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, number one, I wasn't ready to become a daddy yet. So it's like kind of like, you know, you want to enjoy life. You was young, you was stupid, you know, you wanted to enjoy life and shit. But at the end of the day, it's like you kind of get to a place in life that you don't need that. You feel me? You don't need that. You don't need that glitch in your life. I'll be back in a minute to give you guys the rest of the tea. So I'm back. We on Atlantic, walking down Atlantic now. So yeah. So as I'm down Atlantic, right? Give you guys the next to the tea. I mean, growing up as a kid, you learn a lot from being able to be independent in life, you know. But I did cheat on Treasure at the time with another girl. I did cheat on her a couple of times. To be honest, yeah. Before I met Neffy, before I met Neffy, I cheated on Treasure with Neffy and another girl. I dated this girl for at least a week. And I did cheat on Treasure twice. It was multiple times because she wasn't faithful to me. Kind of like we both wanted different things. You know, she wanted marriage, she wanted a family of her own, she wanted that. But I wanted something different, you know? I wanted a community, I wasn't ready for marriage, I wasn't ready for a family at the time. I wanted to build up a faithful relationship, more like a prayer relationship, you know? She wasn't interested in what I want to say. So I cheated on her multiple times with a different girl. And different girls that I dated, the relationship was toxic, you know? Kind of my best, like, struggle with depression. Like, deep depression and shit. Mentally and physically in my life, you feel me? But going through it, man, it was a tough struggle for me, man. So kind of like, you know, you're dealing with that shit by yourself, you feel me? Hold on. Yeah, so you deal with that shit for long, you know? But at the end of the day, you deal with that shit for a while and shit. And the man them looking at you say, yo, respect, brother, cause I know what you feel. You know what I mean? You know, you know how it is when you go through that shit, bro. You know? Yeah, bro, like, everybody asks me about dating though. I dated a couple of girls and certain things, like when you date somebody, it's like you're dating yourself, you're dating the world, you're dating yourself actually when you date somebody in your life. And the person's like, they treat you like shit and they don't care about how it is. But everybody asks me a question about dating. I'm gonna go out here and say it. Give me a second. Yo necesito ese bolillo. Dating to me, I'm gonna tell you this shit. Dating to me is like you're dating yourself, you know? Everybody asks me this question, I'm gonna answer it. When I look at dating, bro, I look at myself in a different perspective of who I am as a person. And to understand what it means to date somebody, But if the girl doesn't respect me as a person and doesn't accept my true colors or whatever like that, I'm not gonna date somebody that doesn't give a fuck about you or don't care about what it is. You know? I think that when you date a person, it's more like you're seeing something that the person don't see in you. And one of the things is you see their true colors. These girls, they lie, they cheat, they steal. I cheat too, because I cheated multiple times. And you know, when you try and search for love and you fighting that shit, it's more like a guilt and shit like that. But once you find love in a relationship, it's more like you it's more like you in a that's more like you living in some situation where a person that's fuck up your life like a shithole, you know. I just like I deal with it, and then when I go to God, it's like I go to God for certain things in my life, bro. But sometimes when you do certain shit, it's like you can't you just don't give a fuck about that girl, you know? You don't care about what it is. But when you start going to church and they see you going to church and shit, they backslide. They make you backslide, make you go to clubs and shit, make you wanna wind up and cock up your ass and all that shit like that. And it's like you can't feel the way how a person may feel and you feel that same situation, you know? But I'm like, yo, I dealt with that shit before. I dealt with that trauma. You dealt with that relationship. And you know how you gonna move past that shit, you know? It's like, nah. I did cheat multiple times with a girl. And before I met Neffy, I did cheat on church multiple times. It was kind of like rough, you know? Dated this girl for like a week. And then I met Neffy on the 30th of June. And I just broke up with this other girl that I dated too. So it's kind of like I was searching for love and I searched it in the wrong reasons, you know. One thing about when I met Neffy, she was like, one thing about her, like, let me say this to you. One thing about Neffy, she don't play with bullshit. And that's what I tell you, she don't play with shit. Like, if you admit that you cheated and you admit that you did something wrong, she will say to you, oh, I did something wrong, and she will not take you back right away though. Like, one thing about that, she will not take you back right away. Nah. She gonna tell you gotta go repent. You feel me? And one thing like she gonna tell you to repent though. Like real talk. She gonna tell you like you fucked up, you gotta fix it. You feel me? But I'm not hold on, I'm on Atlantic, right?